Hi, welcome to Unicorn Recaps. Today we'll explore a terrifying survival story about two best friends, Hunter and Becky, who decide to climb a 2,000-foot tower in the middle of a desert. Their phones lose reception at such extreme heights, help seems impossible, and as if that's not bad enough, vultures lurk nearby, waiting to strike. This is the 2022 movie Fall. A bright sun shines over a rugged rock wall, where three friends, Becky, her partner Dan, and her best friend Hunter, are scaling the cliff face. They banter and laugh, exuding thrill-seeking confidence. Dan, who's leading the climb, reaches a small hollow in the stone. He tentatively places his hand inside, hoping for a firm grip, but a startled bird erupts from the hole. Dan loses balance, tangles up in his safety rope, and flails in midair. Desperate to regain control, Dan tries to swing toward the rock. Becky and Hunter cry out, straining to guide his rope into a safe position. Despite their frantic efforts, the rope snaps under Dan's weight, sending him plummeting to the ground below. His horrifying fall leaves both women in shock. 51 weeks later, Becky is still reeling from the trauma of losing Dan. She drifts through her days in a haze of grief, her life seemingly devoid of hope. Empty bottles litter her apartment, hinting at her excessive drinking. Her father, James, pleads with her to find a way forward, reminding her that she can't keep dwelling in despair. But Becky feels trapped by guilt and sadness, unwilling to open up to anyone. One evening, she contemplates ending it all. She eyes a large bottle of medicine, her thoughts haunted by Dan's memory. Tears stream down her face, and she's on the verge of taking a fatal dosage when her phone rings. The screen shows Hunter's name, a friend she hasn't heard from since Dan's funeral. The following day, Hunter arrives in person. She greets Becky warmly, but senses the darkness that lingers in her friend's eyes. Worried yet determined, Hunter reveals her new plan. She wants to climb the B67 TV tower, a towering metal structure rising 2,000 feet into the sky. She urges Becky to join her, suggesting this feat might help Becky rediscover her old love of adventure and find the courage to face her grief. Becky reacts with horror at the suggestion of another high-risk climb, especially given how Dan died. She refuses, her pain still too raw. Hunter doesn't push further at the moment, but she makes it clear she's leaving soon for the tower, no matter what. That night, Becky can't sleep. Every memory of Dan resurfaces, from the laughter they shared to the abruptness of his final day. In her heart, she knows Dan wouldn't have wanted her to waste her life in a spiral of regret. She decides to climb the tower in Dan's honor, hoping it might bring her closure. The next morning, she calls Hunter and says she's in. They begin a long drive, forging deeper into the stark desert. Stopping at a gas station, Becky scrolls through old photos on her phone. She stumbles on an image that reveals a man's hand resting intimately on Hunter's side. Becky asks about it, but Hunter jokes it off, refusing to provide any details. While Becky is preoccupied, James tries to call, but she ignores the ringing phone. Hours later, they pull into a small roadside motel. While eating dinner, Becky notices that Hunter has become a popular internet vlogger. She posts daring stunts and death-defying climbs, earning money and sponsorship deals. Becky also notices that Hunter's phone constantly buzzes with notifications from her social media, where she's known for living on the edge. After dinner, Becky's eyes drift to the silhouette of the B67 tower in the distance. According to Hunter, it's one of the tallest structures in the United States. In the morning, they set off again. Hunter starts recording a vlog for her followers, chattering about the tower's intimidating height. Distracted by her commentary, she nearly collides with a truck. Becky yelps in fright, and Hunter jerks the wheel just in time. After a tense moment, they share a nervous laugh and continue onward. Reaching the perimeter fence, they find a rusted danger sign, the gate chained shut. Instead of turning back, they park the car and walk through the desert terrain. Vultures pick at animal remains nearby, which Hunter films for her vlog, even snapping pictures to share on social media. Becky's stomach turns at the gruesome scene, but Hunter shrugs and says it's all part of nature's design. Eventually, they spot the towering metal spire. Its narrow frame pierces the sky, an intimidating web of steel beams and ladders. Excitement builds in Hunter, whereas Becky's face pales with fear. Where the internal shaft ends, the structure transitions to a narrower, open ladder. Large discs attach to the tower block parts of the route, forcing them to inch around precarious edges. Hunter navigates swiftly, hooking her safety gear to side rails. Becky moves slower, each step a monumental effort. The wind howls, sending chills through them. At one point, Hunter tries to lighten the mood by playfully shaking the ladder. Becky screams for her to stop. A couple of bolts tumble loose, disappearing into the void below. Heart hammering in her chest, Becky yells that the entire platform might collapse. Hunter apologizes, though she seems more excited than fearful. They keep ascending. More bolts rattle out of place, and they trade worried glances. Finally, Becky. They step onto the very top of the tower. A small metal platform just big enough for 2 people sits 2,000 feet above the desert floor. Becky's legs tremble, and she clutches the guardrail, hardly believing they made it. Hunter, fueled by adrenaline, immediately starts filming the panoramic view. Not content with simple selfies, Hunter unpacks a small drone and directs Becky to record. With the drone hovering around them, Hunter dangles off the tower's edge, one hand gripping a steel bar, her body suspended in midair. Becky's heart nearly stops. She begs Hunter to pull herself back up. Hunter just grins and poses for the camera before scrambling back onto solid footing. Hunter then urges Becky to conquer her ultimate fear, dangle from the ledge for a photo. Overwhelmed by anxiety, Becky initially refuses. She imagines Dan's fatal fall, but Hunter insists she'll hold Becky's arm, reminding her that facing fear is the key to moving forward. Reluctantly, Becky agrees. She lowers herself over the edge, arms tense. Hunter snaps a series of heart-pounding shots, then yanks Becky back to the safety of the platform. Becky, tears in her eyes, carefully removes Dan's ashes from a small container she's been carrying. This final tribute to him has been on her mind since the climb began. She scatters them to the wind in a bittersweet goodbye, letting them drift out into the air. Exhausted and moved, both women share a quiet moment, the golden desert stretching far beneath them. Now, it's time to descend. They fasten their harnesses, Becky leading the way down the fragile external ladder, but after just a few rungs, the entire ladder groans. Suddenly, it breaks away from the tower. Becky falls with it, her screams echoing through the open air. By luck, her safety rope stops the plunge, leaving her swinging below the platform. Hunter, anchored above, pulls with everything she has, hauling Becky back to the top. The two collapse in an adrenaline-fueled heap, giggling in disbelief at their brush with death. But the laughter soon fades. They realize the ladder is gone, leaving them stranded 2,000 feet above the ground. They check their phones, only to discover no signal at this altitude. Worse, their bag with water and supplies fell during the chaos, landing on a small metal disc about 15 feet below the platform. They search the platform area, finding only a pair of binoculars and a flare gun. Disappointment sets in when they see how little use these items are. Hunter keeps her cool. She reasons that someone might have heard the clanging ladder or will notice the missing pieces at some point. In the meantime, they should stay alive and wait for help. Becky's eyes brim with tears, and her leg throbs from a nasty cut she sustained in the fall. Hunter quickly removes her shirt and ties it around the wound to stem the bleeding. A few hours pass with no sign of rescue. To pass the time and keep morale up, Becky interviews Hunter on camera, asking her about her fearless lifestyle and newfound passion for vlogging. In a moment of uneasy candor, Hunter remarks that Dan was the one who encouraged her to find her identity online. Becky's face darkens at the mention of Dan, but she keeps her feelings to herself. Eventually, Hunter notices an older post she made on social media, one featuring the vultures from earlier. She recalls that she must have had a patch of cell signal near ground level. That sparks an idea. What if they lower a phone by rope? Maybe, just maybe, they can get a signal and post a help message. They write out an urgent text for rescue. Hunter secures her phone inside a plastic container, then ties it to the rope, lowering it until it's out of sight below. When she reels it back up, nothing has changed. No upload. The altitude is still too high for reception. Stubborn hope sets in. If there's better reception on the ground, they might have to drop the phone entirely. Hunter cushions her phone inside her shoe, wraps it with socks and a piece of her bra for padding, and hurls the bundle toward the desert floor. It vanishes from sight. Now, they just have to pray the message will upload before the phone is damaged. Moments later, Becky catches a glimpse of a 143 tattoo on Hunter's ankle, something Dan often said to mean, "I love you." This triggers a painful flicker of suspicion in Becky's mind. She starts to wonder if Hunter and Dan shared more than just a casual friendship. Hours pass. Down below, two men come into view with a dog, wandering near the base of the tower. Becky and Hunter scream for help until their voices go hoarse. However, the men don't seem to hear. A sinking feeling builds when Becky looks through the binoculars and sees Hunter's phone smashed on the ground. The shoe protector trick failed. In desperation, Becky chucks both of their remaining shoes at the men, hoping that will alert them, but the footwear falls short. Hunter stops Becky from firing the flare gun, insisting it would be useless in the daylight. Becky's shoulders slump. Every attempt is hitting a dead end. Night comes, and they see the men men are still around, now rummaging near the parked car. This time, Becky believes the flare might finally catch their attention. She fires it, the fiery streak lighting up the tower's outline. Indeed, the men and their dogs stare up at the bright spark. Becky waves her arms wildly. Hunter joins her, each screaming for rescue. The men point at the tower, apparently acknowledging the women's predicament. Relief surges through Becky and Hunter, tears of gratitude streaming down their faces. But their renewed hope shatters when the men break into Hunter's car and steal it, driving away into the night. Their only potential rescuers vanish, leaving the women stranded once again. Exhausted and losing faith, Becky questions Hunter about the 143 tattoo. Reluctantly, Hunter admits she once had an affair with Dan, spanning 6 months. Becky stares in disbelief. Hunter apologizes, saying she ended it because she valued her friendship with Becky and didn't want to continue betraying her. Becky can barely speak, reeling from the revelation that her best friend and her partner were once intimately involved. By dawn, a nerve-wracking 24 hours have passed since they dropped the phone. Becky tries to stay calm, but she's severely dehydrated. Hunter, noticing their near-empty water bottles, focuses on a desperate plan. The bag, containing more water and supplies, still sits on that disc below. If she can reach it, they might extend their survival. She ties one end of the rope to the tower, the other to her harness, and rappels downward. The disc is just out of reach, so she unclips her harness, clutching the rope with one hand, and swings herself onto the narrow ledge. Terrified, Becky watches from above, certain any misstep could be fatal. Hunter lands on the disc, rummages through the bag, and triumphantly gulps some water. She carefully positions the bag on the rope's hook, then readies herself to climb back. Becky pulls on the rope, eyes bugging in anxiety. Halfway up, Hunter's grip slips. She dangles midair, letting out a piercing shriek. Becky summons every ounce of strength to reel her in. At last, Hunter scrambles onto the platform. They collapse in shaky relief, but Hunter's hands are badly scraped and bleeding. With the water supply renewed, Becky and Hunter attempt a new rescue strategy. They write a help note and attach it to the drone, hoping to fly it all the way to the motel. If someone there sees the note, they might call the authorities. They launch the drone into the sky, but it quickly beeps. Low battery. Fearing it might crash, they recall it. Another chance missed. The two slump in despair, pinned between hunger, thirst, and the knowledge that no one knows their location. That night, Becky dreams a horrifying vision of vultures picking at Hunter's body. She wakes in a cold sweat, relieved to see Hunter next to her, still alive. But the tension doesn't vanish. Vultures circle overhead by day, eager for an easy feast. Morning light brings a sudden idea to Becky. The tower's obstruction lights might hold enough juice to charge the drone. She climbs a narrow pole above the platform, contorting her body to reach the power cable. She manages to plug in the drone's charger, but the fit is loose. Determined, Becky grips the cable with her hand, pressing it firmly so the battery can charge. Time crawls by. Becky's muscles burn, sweat dripping down her cheeks. Occasionally, a vulture dives too close, snapping at her with its sharp beak. She fights back with her free arm. Below, she can see Hunter, or at least believes she does, peering up anxiously. Eventually, the drone's indicator light turns green, meaning it's fully charged. But in the chaos, Becky drops the bag containing the rest of their supplies. She carefully crawls back to the platform with the drone. Now armed with a fresh battery, Becky sets it on a course toward the motel. The drone zips away, carrying their final hope. It nears a truck on the same road as before, but in a cruel twist of fate, a collision with the truck's roof destroys the drone on impact. Becky stares in disbelief. Their best plan has just crashed. Dark clouds roll in, bringing violent winds and a fierce storm. Rain lashes the tower, lightning cracks across the sky, and the flimsy structure sways dangerously. Becky braces herself against the metal bars, burying her face in her arms. She fights to stay awake, aware that falling asleep in these conditions could be deadly. Trying to ignore the cold, Becky calls out to Hunter for comfort. She asks if they can share shoes again or try something else to drop a phone. In the midst of her pleas, Hunter doesn't respond. Suddenly, Becky is hit by a spine-chilling realization. She has been hallucinating Hunter for hours. Through hazy flashbacks, Becky remembers the moment Hunter tried to climb back from the disc. She fell and didn't survive. Becky had only retrieved the bag, not her friend. All this time, she's been seeing Hunter's face and hearing her voice, a desperate illusion to keep herself from succumbing to loneliness. The storm rages on. Becky holds tight, weeping for Hunter's death, Dan's death, and the impossibility of rescue. Her phone alarm chirps, another painful reminder of how much time has passed. Morning comes, bringing a heavy hush to the desert. Becky's throat is parched, her lips cracked. A lone vulture glides overhead. Sensing Becky's weakened state, it swoops in, pecking at her leg wound. Summoning a surge of primal rage, Becky grabs the bird, slams it against the metal surface, and kills it. Overcome by survival instinct, she eats the vulture's flesh raw, forcing herself to stay alive. Now, with a small burst of renewed energy, Becky conjures a last-ditch idea. She fastens the safety rope around her waist and lowers herself to the metal disc where Hunter's body lies. The smell of death intensifies her nausea, but she presses on. Once there, she removes Hunter's shoe, places her own phone inside it, protected as best she can, and then, in a grim solution, inserts the shoe into Hunter's abdomen to cushion the impact. She sews or wraps the body as firmly as possible. Tears streak her dirt-stained cheeks. She pushes the body off the disc, letting gravity carry it down to the ground. Becky prays that once the body hits Earth, the phone's message to her father, James, will go through. Night falls, and Becky remains alone, clinging to the tower's remains. She records a final video on her camera, telling James how sorry she is, how she regrets not answering his calls. She begs him for forgiveness and expresses her deep wish to come home. Just as Becky's eyelids droop from utter exhaustion, distant sirens pierce the air. Blinking through tears, she sees lights approaching. Her father, James, arrives with emergency responders. At first, he sees a covered body being carried away, and grief engulfs him. He fears it's Becky, but a moment later, he's alerted that Becky is still alive. Overcome with relief, James rushes to her, wrapping his arms around her as she trembles. Their emotional reunion unfolds at the foot of the broken tower. The father and daughter hold each other tightly, tears falling freely in the shadow of that ominous steel structure. Becky has survived her greatest test, honoring Dan's memory and confronting unimaginable dangers in the process. Thank you for watching Unicorn Recaps. This has been our recap of Fall 2022, a tale of courage, heartbreak, and the will to survive against impossible odds. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know which film you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, take care.